Senator Manchin this morning sharply criticized the president's handling of these debt ceiling talks. He said it's, quote, not rational, it's not reasonable, it's not practical in terms of his refusal to negotiate over raising the debt limit. What's the White House's response to that? To what extent does it weaken the president's position to not have Democrats in lockstep with him?
It's not rational. It's not rational. It's not reasonable, and it's not practical for Congress to be doing what they're doing.
Does the president plan to postpone his foreign trip in order to deal with the debt ceiling?
So, look, the president could be a president anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's domestic or international. He is always president, even when he travels. Look, this is something that Congress can take care of today if they choose.
The president does leave for Japan and Australia next week. He's not slated to return until just before that June deadline that the Treasury Secretary has talked about. If we get to next week and there is no plan in place to raise the debt ceiling, will the president delay or cancel his trip?
So, Nancy, appreciate the question, understand the question. I'm not going to get ahead of today's meeting. Let's see how the meeting goes at 4 o'clock. Certainly, our goal here is to make sure that Congress does their constitutional duty and to prevent default. Just not going to get into hypotheticals.
Should the vice president be involved in today's meeting since she'll be here in the country while the president is away?
So the president has been closely consulting with the vice president on this. They have had several conversations on this issue. And so again, when it comes to issues that matter to the American people, they're very much partners.
On matters of the economy, the public often holds the president accountable for the outcomes here. Does the president have a sense that he will be blamed by the American public if default actually occurs?
To your question, I have an answer to your question. Polling from 2011 and 2013 makes clear that congressional Republicans were to blame for their threats to default. And polling now shows Americans want spending and default handled separately, as does the president. That said, when it comes to threatening default, people should not be looking at polling with congressional members today, leaders today.
There have been other instances of brinksmanship on Capitol Hill with government shutdowns, and the public has seen that. They've seen 11th hour resolution to things. This is a very different beast in terms of the potential negative impact, as you've pointed out, never happened before. Do you anticipate the president will have to speak out about this in a bigger way than the daily communication that he's done, or that you speaking on his behalf? Is there a speech to be had? Is there a moment coming?
So the president's going to go to New York. He's going to visit a district that he won in 2020. He's going
I guess where I was going with that.
I see. I mentioned.
I wasn't clear. I know I was going to New York.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I mentioned the polling from 2011 and 2013, how congressional Republicans were blamed by the American people about what they tried to do in those two instances. And the president's going to continue to talk about this. Don't have a nighttime, primetime speech to lay out for you or to preview at this time.
Given how unified Republicans have been around Speaker McCarthy, do you have any concern about, Democrats not, that there may be some wavering among some Democrats about the president's position on the debt ceiling?
I mean, look, the Democrats have been very clear as well that we need to deal with the debt limit. We've been all very clear about that. So has Leader Jeffries, and so has Leader Schumer. We've been all on the same page with the leadership is that Republicans in Congress need to do their job.
Can you say what will happen if Congress doesn't act on the debt limit? Speaker McCarthy hasn't budged yet. The president hasn't moved his position. Will he let this go off a cliff if the speaker doesn't do anything?
Well, the speaker has to do his job. Congress has to do their job. That's what we're.
The president doesn't have any job.
The president, look, what could potentially happen, as I just laid out, is a potential recession.
What message does it send to the world that we're now 3 weeks away from a potential default, and it is still completely unclear how this is going to be resolved?
So look, the United States is not a deadbeat nation. The president has made that very clear. We have never failed to pay our bills. And we should not do this now. Congress must do its job and prevent a default. Look, if there was a default, it would be a gift to China, to Russia, and to other competitors. That's what we're saying here. That's what House Republicans are saying. If they were to default, it would be a gift to them.